Hello everybody out there, and welcome back to another Dark Avenger Comic Book review. And as always, it's late due to the fact that Mike and I were at New York Comic Con Special Edition. However, we did get a lot of reading done. I keep thinking today is Thursday that we're recording this. You're seeing this on Thursday morning, but I'm thinking that it's Thursday and this is going up Friday. Don't ask me why. But anyway, Dark Avenger Live episode 50 will be this Friday. This should be going up Thursday morning. We read through all the big two books. We got some surprises actually for books that are coming out 2 episodes from now for both the indie and big two, but we'll talk about those as the upcoming haul video comes, or maybe we'll talk about it on Dark Avenger Live this Friday. We'll see. But anyway, for this week we have a few DC, and we're still exploring Secret Wars. That's why there's a lot of Secret Wars, or a lot of Marvel books. As Secret Wars continues forward, as the series, because I'm not going to call them minis, we don't know yet, as the series continue, we'll be picking and choosing which ones we want to keep and which ones we don't want to keep. Right now, we're testing out a lot of the number ones, not all of the number ones. I did read A-Force number 1, guys, and I will say I really, really enjoyed it. And I actually will be coming back for issue 2. So, this is outside of this week's books, which Mike will give the date in a moment, but A-Force, I liked it. I really liked it a lot. I would definitely recommend it. The artwork was great. The story was great. I will be coming in for issue 2. It ended with Kitty Pryde from the main Marvel Universe showing up, or crash landing, in the A-Force sector of Battle World. And I'm definitely interested now, so I'm definitely going to move forward with A-Force. We haven't dropped any books yet from you know, we'll save this for Dark Avenger Live. But anyway, the books in this review were released on
June 3rd, 2015, the first week of June.
And it's episode 292, which means there's only 8 more left.
Stars.
Yeah, stars, okay. I'll live with that one. That one I have nothing bad to say.
Oh, thank you.
1. Let's see how 7 goes. That's what worries me. So anyway, DC's out of convergence, so we're back into the main stuff. We got some new number 1s, and we're starting with Batman Beyond issue 1, which was supposed to be his book, but he forgot completely about it. And yes, it is Tim Drake. It's a continuation from Future's End. Apparently, as we know, Tim Drake, first of all, has been pushed into the Batman Beyond timeline, the one where Brother Eye completely obliterated the entire Justice League, took over and destroyed the entire world. So Terry was sent back in time during Future's End to prevent it. He failed. Tim also failed, but apparently what happened in Future's End caused a ripple effect, and in the Beyond timeline, now there are differences. Like, for example, in this book we find out Metropolis was protected from the Brother Eye outbreak. So Gotham City is completely safe, while other places in the Beyond U were not. Terry's brother has a very hard time dealing with Tim wearing the suit. He actually says in the book that it should have been him to have gotten the suit, should have been his and not Tim's, and he's sure that if Terry would have died in front of him, he would have gotten the suit. But Tim is now looking, he failed Terry basically, so now he's looking to make right the Beyond time, at least. He's looking to fix the future, and we actually do get to see Superman in this book, the one that's taken over by Brother Eye. And Terry, now I gotta get used to saying Tim. Tim finds out that there is a place called The Lodge close to New York, and that's where a lot of refugees are being kept, but it's kind of like a prisoners of war camp. So in the fight with Superman, Tim, or Alfred, the AI in Tim's suit, which Alfred actually says this is a different timeline, so it's new not only to Tim, but also to the AI. It uses kind of like a feedback to electrify and kind of short-circuit Superman, and unfortunately it short-circuits the suit as well, and Tim goes into the lodge, and we see a familiar person he comes face-to-face with. Okay, this is an interesting issue. I'm not used to this. I mean, when I think of Batman Beyond, I think of Terry McGinnis, and obviously this is to play off of Future's End. I'll come back for the next issue just to see where we're going, but I keep getting that really bad taste in my mouth from Future's End, and out of all the series, all the weeklies, there was 3, that is the one weekly series I wish I didn't get, and the fact that this book continually reminds me of Future's End is not a good thing. But the story in and of itself is interesting enough to make me want to come back for issue 2. Will I come back for issue 3? That depends on how I feel with issue 2. I know I said I was going to take this off, but I was actually pleasantly surprised. Superman Action Comics issue 41. Now, here's the thing that you guys have to know when you go into this book. At the beginning of this book, there are references made to Superman losing his suit. The reference is to something that's going to happen in Action Comics 41, which hasn't come, Superman 41, which hasn't come out yet. Understandable. Okay, so Action Comics takes place before this, 41. As this book continues forward towards the end of the book, there's another reference made about a shadow monster. And again we get a reference, read Superman 42. So we're thrown into the future, so to speak, even though this is technically present day. And this takes place at least 2 issues forward in Superman. So there are things that aren't explained, and they won't be explained until next month in Superman 42. That's my only gripe with this book. The fact that we don't get the very beginning. We're getting kind of the middle of the story. Superman, the next 2 issues are going to really give us the beginning of the story. Then I wish they would have released at least Superman 41 first to give us an idea of what we're going into. Because right now we're thrusted into a world where Clark is coming back from the Arctic. He does not have his powers. We don't know how he lost his powers. He's got that new hairstyle. His identity's been revealed to the world, and we still don't know how that all happened. We don't know that at all. But in this book, he does reference that a week ago, he was exposed to the world. Perry White fired him. When reporters and lawyers found out who Superman really was, he was hit with 1 billion lawsuits. The police are after him. A bunch of stuff's going on. But he went to the Arctic because something happened and he lost his powers, and he was hoping that the Fortress would help him. And that didn't work. If you read Diversion, it actually explained that he lost his suit. The Fortress tried to suck his entire suit back except for these little pieces of his cape that he managed to hold on to. So now he's stuck in human form trying to get back to Metropolis, and he stops off in this place in this little town in Alaska, and there's flashbacks and references to everything I just said, but he finds this guy who's selling a bike, his motorcycle, so he buys it from this guy. It turns out this guy is this huge kind of like bully, and they find out that it's Superman, so they want to be the first people in history to kick Superman's ass. Literally, that's what's said here. And they don't do that because regardless of superpowers, Superman still has his own abilities, period. He's a very strong individual. So he ends up back in Metropolis because something's going on, and it turns out that the block that Clark lived on opened up like this We Stand By Superman community, and while the entire Metropolis is they kind of turned against him, these people actually are for Superman / Clark Kent. And that's when the shadow monster shows up out of nowhere, and we see that he's starting to get his powers back. He's making leaps now. He's able to leap tall buildings again. He's getting a little bit of his strength back again. So he is gaining his powers back, but he's still very weak. And apparently somebody, we don't know who, but somebody is making sure to keep tabs on him, and they're really trying to hurt him more than anything else. And obviously they know more. They're in control of this shadow creature, or shadow, what was it called? It's just called the Shadow. And it turns out that this person is looking to destroy the block now that was supporting Superman. I guess after seeing that my Superman is somewhere out there in the multiverse still, and this is again just a story arc, and we'll see where we go from here. An interesting read. My one gripe, my biggest gripe, is that it's going to take 2 issues of Superman to explain what happened before this issue. Now granted, that happened when the New 52 started, but that was years in advance. It was like Action Comics, which was this, was 5 years before current day Superman. I don't know, but I would have liked them to keep it kind of chronological, because right now we don't know what happened to Clark, but he's normal, he's gaining his powers back slowly, and the jean and shirt, which I got the variant Joker cover because I was seeing that cover everywhere. Green Lantern issue 41. I decided to give Green Lantern a shot. Now, Hal Jordan is a wanted man from the law, from the Green Lantern Corps, because we all know he faked being the evil one in the Green Lantern Corps to give the Green Lantern Corps back its good name. He decided to take the fall so the Green Lantern Corps could once again become what it used to be, you know, looked up to, not people against it. So now he's on the run. He has the gauntlet, which was used way back when in previous story arcs, and that's how he's using his Green Lantern powers now. He's on this planet that has this guy that was kidnapped, this prince that was kidnapped, and he's being used in some type of a war game. So he saves him. The artwork in this book's really good. I believe this is more of just a, well, this is what's going on in Green Lantern now, because not really much happens other than he saves the kid, the guy, and he also takes Trapper, who's the guy that actually, the alien that kidnapped him. And the reason he takes Trapper is because he whispered something to Hal in the middle of this book. And we find out what that is at the very end of the book. And it has something to do with the Green Lantern Corps and Mogo. So the ending of this book was a wow factor. And the next, I'm definitely interested in what the next issue is going to have in store for Green Lantern. I'm glad I decided to give Green Lantern a try. It looks really interesting. I'm definitely going to come back for the next issue at least. See where this goes. If I like it, I'll continue it. If not, I won't. Wonder Woman Annual, issue number 1, concludes the story between Donna Troy and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman finds out that Donna led a bunch of them, Amazons to kill the men that were living on Themyscira. And now she vows to make not only Donna pay, but all the Amazons that followed her pay. And the fight between her and Donna was epic. It went through several pages, and it was just gorgeous. The dialogue from Wonder Woman was excellent. Read this book to find out what that was. And in the end, of course, Wonder Woman comes out on top. She beats Donna, and what's her name? What's her name? I can't remember I can't even pronounce her name anyway. It starts with a D. The old woman that actually created, or had Donna Troy created. I can't remember off the top of my head her name right now. But she gets found out and she gets killed, and then we get a backup story to why she feels the way she does towards not only Wonder Woman but her mother. Oh, here, I could just go over here and I can find out her name. Her name was Darino. The second story is all about her background, like why she's against the men being on Themyscira, and how she was in love with one of the, I believe it was the Queen. And then the blade is what kind of made her, they were going to use against the Queen, is what made her old. And then it ends with Wonder Woman welcoming men back on Themyscira. So it ends with her dying, but it also had Wonder Woman questioning why she felt that way, and then we get the backup story which actually explained it. So I like that. I think this book in whole was a really good, worth your money annual, and I don't really say that too often when it comes to DC Comics lately, but this is a really good book. I would definitely recommend Wonder Woman right now. The Finches are hitting it out of the park when it comes to Wonder Woman. Strictly for Superman fans, and I'm not going to spend too much time on this, Bizzaro issue number 1. Bizzaro is somehow on Earth, and Jimmy and Bizzaro are now teaming up to go on a road trip to Canada. Don't ask why. It's to kind of have Bizzaro find his own place or want to leave Earth. I, to be honest, couldn't tell you. But Jimmy and Bizzaro end up in Smallville at some point, and Jimmy ends up crashing into a tree because Bizzaro has a pet Chupacabra, which I believe is actually an alien. But we'll find out more on that later. And they go to this guy, King Tut, who is a used car salesman or a car salesman. And he tries to sell Jimmy a brand new car. It doesn't work. Bizzaro just says fix the old one. And then he reaches out to these aliens, which give him kind of like these supernatural powers, which makes everybody in Smallville want to buy a new car. Yes, that you heard me. They want to buy a new car. I want to find a good page for artwork. Artwork is a very cartoony artwork, but it fits Bizzaro oh so well. What you see on the cover is what you get in the book, basically. A very Bizzaro book. Let's put it that way. So if you like Bizzaro, if you're a Superman fan, you'll be checking this out. If you're not a fan of Bizzaro or Superman, then you won't. Is this a must-read? Absolutely not. Again, this is more of a... well, first of all, it explains why it's a miniseries, but this is more of a, if you like Bizzaro, if you want a little miniseries on Bizzaro, check it out. If you don't, then you don't have to. It's a $2.99 book. If you like Bizzaro, give it a try. If you don't, you're not missing out on anything. It's kind of one of those tales that's just, it's a self-contained miniseries.
Alright, Green Arrow, issue number 41. We're back with the Green Arrow story, now that the Convergence events are over. And it starts us off really nicely. It starts off where, you know, there's been like this weird thing going on where there was this guy who goes on a Ferris wheel and then he jumps off and kills himself. And we don't know why and what the reason was. So then we go to Oliver Queen taking Amiko to school, which I thought was actually something. And we get introduced to this lady on the street who Oliver knew from like years ago, and she just says like, beware the night birds, beware the sky. So we try to figure out what that's about. And
I hate this. I hate this advertisement, by the way. I'm throwing it out there now.
Thank you so much for
because this is stupid. This is dumb. Half page of an ad, half page of a comic. It's dumb. Go back to the other way where it's one page the ad and one page the comic, because this is just dumb. Every comic has that.
Yeah, and then we get introduced to this character, Mr. Ridge, who is like a really popular celebrity, and something bad happens to him. So Oliver Queen, when he hears about this on the news, he wants to talk to Henry Piff, I think that's how you say his name. And they say that's this entity right here, or this person, and the entity in the picture was like moving at like a 2-second speed. So we don't know who or what this thing is that's been doing this to people. And the artwork's actually really amazing, I would say. And then we get a little bit of Queen Industries, and if you want to find out about how Oliver feels about this whole thing and what's going on in Queen Industries, read the book. And he heard just from this woman that the streets have been, you know, ghost gone. It's been happening for months. So she said, you're going to have to talk to Big Dog about it, because he knows more about this. And, well, when he does that, we get a little bit of a, like, face of the person. And we don't know who or what this person's name is until the next issue, probably. So it was more like a mystery book, but it came back to a very strong point, and I'll definitely be picking up the next issue. And I like the new hairstyle he had in the story.
Well, originally Green Arrow had long hair.
Oh yeah.
Alright, Justice League, issue number 41. This is a $5 book. It's a giant size setup, or part 1, to the Darkseid Wars. Opens up with Mr. Miracle. You get a little bit of a background on Mr. Miracle if you didn't read, I forgot what issue it was. I believe it was also Diversion, where they went a little bit in depth about Mr. Miracle switching places with Orion. So this was this piece between Darkseid's world and New Genesis. But if they didn't, I just explained it there. But anyway, after that we go into internal dialogue from Wonder Woman. Just talking about her, how she feels about her and the League. But the prologue actually opens up with these two agents. One is an assassin and one is a Fury of Darkseid. And they're looking for Marina Black. I believe that's Darkseid's daughter who swears that she's going to come back and kill him, but I'm not too sure because... Anyway, the Justice League is investigating all these Mira Black deaths, and that's when, out of nowhere, one of the Justice League members, I still won't say who, I don't want to spoil who, brings out... Oh, I'm sorry, this is Darkseid's daughter. Brings out Darkseid's daughter. And she wants to see Darkseid completely and utterly destroyed, and she actually brings... well, I'll tell you guys later, but anyway, she fights the Justice League, and she makes easy work of all of them, except Superman, who's miles away with his some more good artwork. He's miles away with Lex Luthor, basically challenging Lex Luthor to cure Neutron, and this kind of connects to the previous story arc where everybody was infected with the Amazo virus. So he's not in the fight yet, but we do find something else out. This is going to be the spoiler I give you guys. It turns out Lena Luthor is the one that put the hit out on Lex, and she actually is an agent of Darkseid too. She ends up sending Superman and Lex Luthor away somewhere through a boom tube. And we also get to see the Anti-Monitor, who's now in the picture. He's brought to Earth. And you see Ultraman and Superwoman, you know, dreading and fearing what's coming next, because this is the person they ran from. They ran from the Anti-Monitor, and now the Anti-Monitor is on this world. And then the ending, we get to see the Marina Black that the Fury and the Assassin were chasing after. We also get a moment where Mr. Miracle comes face to face with Darkseid. That was a really cool scene. But there's a lot of extra stuff. This was a very big book, and a lot of stuff happened in this issue, and a lot of stuff was set up in this issue. If you are a fan of Jeff Johns' writing, if you are a fan of Justice League, if you are a fan of major events going on in DC right now, this is look no further than this book. It was an excellent book. My favorite DC book of the week. Period. I would definitely recommend checking out Justice League issue number 41. It was a really, really good read, and the Darkseid War looks to be like it's going to be a really good story. Alright. We're in Marvel now, and we're starting with the Star Wars universe. Princess Leia issue number 4. Really quickly, at the very beginning of this issue, she finds out who the traitor is, and the traitor doesn't even realize she's a traitor. She doesn't realize that her sister is actually working for the Empire, and Leia formulates a plan to trick the sister, to find out information about the sister and kind of screw with the Empire. But unfortunately, they figure out that something's wrong, and what happens is, what's her name? Tula's sister is basically going to be put to death until Leia jumps in and says, "Name your price," and the price is her. So, long story short, there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of stuff that goes on in here, but long story short, she has to give herself up in trade for the sister, and that's what she does. And that's the end of the issue. And the way I explained it is really how I read it, but there is other stuff going on in this book with, what's her name? The person that she saved in the previous issue. So there is a lot going on behind the scenes. The main story arc is that. Next issue is the last issue for Princess Leia. I'm enjoying this book, but again, I'm glad it's a miniseries because I don't think Princess Leia has, enough to really sustain an ongoing at this moment. But how's Darth Vader doing?
Well, Darth Vader issue number 6, that is, has been doing, this was actually a really powerful issue, actually. More along the lines of Darth Vader and the Emperor have a talk with each other, and it's just him fighting against the Emperor, the Emperor's crew that he throws at him, and Darth Vader just takes him out like just one by one, and we get a little bit of a about the people that he's fighting against, and I won't go that into the names and everything, but so then after that, he just says that, to the Emperor, like he goes with the Emperor, and he's just talking to him about, you know, like these people he fought were just abominations and all this other stuff. And, you know, he still feels that he was being replaced like issues, you know, before and everything. And, you know, and then we get a little bit of just a conference between those two. And then we get a little bit of a thing where Boba Fett goes back to Darth Vader saying that he found a bounty hunter of value named Skywalker.
Not a bounty hunter, this is the bounty. It connects to Star Wars issue number 6, where this exact scene, minus the Emperor showing up, happened here, but I'll go ahead and finish.
Yeah, so when so Skywalker, he wants to go after him because he believes that Skywalker killed the person Darth Vader fell in love with years and years ago. And yeah, things are getting very controversial.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that scene happened in Star Wars issue number 6. At the end of Star Wars issue number 6, actually, though. In this issue, Boba Fett went to, well, in the last issue, we know he flashbanged Luke, and Luke lost his sight. The issue continues right from where that issue left off, and Boba Fett basically is meant to bring Luke back alive, because he finds out that Luke is the one that destroyed the Death Star. However, Luke, using the Force, is able to fight against Boba Fett, and in the end, he's actually able to use a bit of the Force and takes Boba Fett out long enough for him to escape. He knocks Boba Fett out and he escapes. While somewhere else, Leia and Han are on this planet that Han is the only one that knows about. And it's completely secret other than for himself and Chewie. They're the only two that know about it. And Leia's thinking this is a perfect place for the rebellion to go. And then we get introduced to Han's wife, or wife later on. But anyway, Luke escapes Tatooine with the book that Ben left him. And then we get the exact scene that you had where Boba Fett later on returns to Darth Vader saying that the only information he has, he doesn't have a body, but he does have a name, Skywalker. And that's where this issue leaves off, with Darth Vader breaking the glass saying Skywalker. I thought, now I'm glad you said that about Darth Vader, I thought that Darth Vader figured out that Luke was his son.
Yeah, because he was like saying, you know, he had a son in Darth Vader. Right,
so he's figuring out, obviously this is leading into the second movie, or I should say actually the fifth movie, where he actually says, Luke, I am your father. They're basically putting the puzzle pieces together. This is how Darth Vader found out that Luke was his son. But obviously they're not going to meet again now. Yes, I get it. Obviously they're not going to meet now until episode 5. However, I don't think this comic book is going to skip between movies yet. Maybe it'll reach, you know, the point where, you know, episode 5 happens and then continue forward from there. But for right now, I don't think so. Alright, and with that, we've got the timer, so just give us 1 second and we will continue with this week's comics. Right, and we're back, and before we get into Secret Wars, let's talk about some books that didn't go into Secret Wars. This is the final issue of Superior Iron Man, issue number 9. I loved it. Pepper and Tony Stark versus Superior Iron Man Tony. And at every turn, Superior Tony is able to destroy machine or model by model all the Iron Men until he comes up against the Ironmonger, which we actually get to see here. And he gets pissed off that the Iron Man, or the AI Tony, is created Pepper a new suit. He's like, that's my job. And then Pepper uses her sonic ray to kind of screw with the symbiote suit. And she brings Tony back to Resilient headquarters, where he pulls a fast one and is able to, he sticks like a virus into Resilient and slowly destroys all of the AI Tonys. And he's able to save one of the main AI in like a USB drive. And, what's his name? Jamie actually turns on Superior Tony and tries to get it back. However, it's destroyed and Tony leaves. The best part, and this is the reason why I'm spoiling this book, it's the last issue and then we're going into Secret Wars, is So the good Tony is now, the AI is completely gone. All that's left is Superior Tony. And Pepper says, if this is what you want, fine. I bought all the media out from under you, so instead of helping you, I'm going to expose you for everything you are. So everybody who's ever looked up to you, who looked to you as a messiah, well, now they're going to think of you as a zealot and evil. And no matter what you do, no matter how many minds you turn, you'll always be one thing: alone. So basically, Pepper is dedicating her life now to destroying Tony Stark completely. There was a lot of really great moments in here, and I'm not going to spoil that because you guys should have read Superior Iron Man 1 through 9. Really good. Special edition New York Comic Con, it was announced that Brian Michael Bendis and Dave Marquez will be doing the new Invincible Iron Man. So hopefully we'll be getting past all the Superior Iron Man and going back to the real Tony Stark as Iron Man, or at least in the first story arc, somehow getting into Tony's head and releasing the evil or the twisted Axis version of Tony Stark from his mind. Or maybe Secret Wars will do that for us.
The Amazing Spider-Man issue number 18.1. This is the third part to Spiral. And first off, when I read this book, it had like really interesting dialogue.
Great artwork.
And great artwork too, where Black Cat just comes in and just, defeats all of, what was his name? I just had his name like in my head, I can't remember, but basically she just clears the street of these gangs, and they're basically they owe like Hammerhead and Tombstone their life because they're like their leader and everything. So then she's saying, I think I could do better than they do, and then we get like all these different people on that we get introduced to, like the Ox, Snake Marston, Hammer Harrison, Fancy Dan, like all these other people that work alongside Black Cat. Then we get a little bit of a Peter Parker and, talking about with this little girl about Otto Octavius, what's different between...
Oh, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, like this between the both of them and stuff like that, because there's like a little bit of a thing between them. And when he meets up with Mr. Negative, there's a little bit of information that he left with Wrath about this thing about what's going on in Rikers Island. So they both go to investigate Rikers Island, where they bump into, who didn't see this coming, Black Cat, along with the gang that we were introduced to before. And they have a little bit of a fight scene. Spider-Man tries to tell her, there's still, good in you, so, I don't know why you just... like hide that, like this is your chance to make a good one. And then Black Cat just hates him for some reason, just saying that this doesn't change things between us. And I think the reason why is because didn't she want him to be like her, like with all this crime and stuff like that?
No, Dr. Octopus as Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, told her about the eye. That just clicked in my head. And we heard a gunshot from Wrath, and Spider-Man goes and says like, Wrath, I heard a gunshot. What did you do? And we don't know who she killed because it doesn't show who it was. So, I'm not sure if it's going to be Black Cat.
No.
Or if it's going to be, for some reason, either Hammerhead or Tombstone. I do not know. But, we're going to find out in the next issue who it is. Now I want to know who she shot.
Alright. Last not connected Secret War book, and I believe this is the last issue of this for now. All New X-Men issue 41. Maria Hill goes to the All New X-Men and the Xavier School hidden away in the old Weapon X facility to go to Utopia and find out about the mutants that are on Utopia and figure out what exactly they're doing. They end up going, the All New X-Men, along with X-23 and Magic, and they confront these X-Men out of there, which are Mask, Random, Boom Boom, Elixir, Karma, and Madison Jeffries. And at first, they don't take too well to the X-Men being there. They think they're being forced out of Utopia and that this is kind of like a setup. And even with Jean's psychic abilities, they have Karma on their side. So Karma kind of has the ability to possess people, and let's just say a bit of a fight happens. But in the end, after Jean goes into Karma's mind and really reaches in and, you know, sees her life through her eyes, they lie to Maria Hill and say they basically escaped, knocked them out and escaped somewhere, and they don't know where they went. But they leave with some really serious proclamation. It's like, you know, Avengers could set up shop anywhere, but whenever there's a mutant around, you guys shoot first and ask questions later. It makes people paranoid sometimes, yeah? They disappear, and it turns out that all the mutants are at the Xavier School. That's the long short of it without the dialogue. However, as this book is over, it's to be concluded in Uncanny X-Men issue number 600. Will I be getting that physically? Probably not. Digitally? Most likely. Just to see the ending of this story arc. But apparently it all is going to come to a head in Uncanny X-Men 600. So we'll see where it goes. But again, I don't know. I feel like this story kind of... It went great with the whole Black Vortex. But now it's kind of like just, oh, well, the story's ending for now, so... And Bendis is going over to Iron Man, so he'll be leaving probably the X-Men. I think he said he was leaving the X-Men, to be honest.
Yep. Alright, Secret Wars Battle World, issue number 2.
How was this one?
This one was actually, it was pretty good. I mean, the cover says it all, really, about what this book's going to be about, where, basically we get Blade the Vampire Slayer, who actually appears in this book, and lots of other...
Is that Donald? Oh, Howard the Duck.
It's like New Quack City, where I'm guessing Howard the Duck would come in, which he does in this comic book, which is right here. The artwork was a little bit okay. I felt this comic to look kind of weird-ish. And basically it's just him and Howard the Duck just, you know, encountering with each other, and of course this will lead to them just teaming up with each other against the vampire ducks. So I just found this issue altogether just to be weird, and that's the first story of this. The second story, Ross Against the Machine, it was like really heavy dialogue.
It's Arcade's Killers. We saw this in Planet Hulk, Arcade's Killiseum.
Yeah, and it's basically Monroe talking with Taskmaster about the unkillable war machine, which is being taken to this Coliseum to fight off against these people. And then we get a little bit of a backstory about him and, you know, all this stuff. The second story, I will admit,
who is the War Machine? Is that,
I was trying to get that too. Like, I'm guessing the War Machine was, like he was created to be their champion, is what I'm saying. And he looks at Taskmaster, so I'm guessing that Taskmaster was the one that, because he said that this is what I was built to do, and he tells that to Taskmaster, so I'm guessing, after reading that it was his idea of creating him, and he thought that he killed his daughter, and he's saying that, you know, I wasn't the one that killed him, the whole world was that killed her, and that was the end of that story. It looks like
Thunderbolt Ross. This is the issue everybody says not to miss.
Which one that looks like?
The one that's raw. That's War Machine.
Oh, that one, yeah.
The next issue is going to be really good.
Yeah, so, I mean, after the first story, I was like looking over that, like saying, okay, a little haha joke, kind of, but second story was more serious, but I guess I will come back for the next issue, just see how it goes, and yeah.
Future Imperfects #1 was a quick read for me. This girl, Ruby Summers, who's out in the desert, finds this old man who is out there alone, and already you could see the setup. I saw the setup before we even got into the book. I didn't cheat. I went through it. And he's claiming to be Odin. And Ruby's like, well, I'm part of the resistance against the Maestro. And over and over, Odin keeps asking, could you tell me about Maestro? Who's Maestro? What are you doing, you know? And she's against Maestro. She's like, I'm part of a resistance. We're going to fight against Maestro. He was given, what was the name of the city? I forget the name of the city. Oh, Dystopia. He's the Baron of Dystopia, so he's taken to the Resistance secret headquarters, long story short, and it turns out that it wasn't Odin.
Oh, no.
It was the Maestro in disguise. Robert Bruce Banner pretending to be Odin. And he's beating the crap out of the Resistance one by one, and then the head of the Resistance shows up.
Oh, boy. So they're going to fight off against each other?
In the next issue.
Oh, boy.
If you guys saw the cover for issue 2, you'll know what it is. This is, honestly, this was one of my quick reads this week. I called that it was Maestro pretending to be, what do you call it, Odin from the very beginning, because he was asking too many questions at the same time about the Maestro. And then once he got into the Resistance stronghold, I knew that the second he hulked out, he was going to beat the crap out of everybody in the Resistance. And then we get that page where we're going to get that big show, that big fight, that face-off at the end. Will I be back for issue 2? Absolutely. After that, to be determined. First issue was really nice. This book, I'm in it for the long haul. Sorry about that, guys. Camera decided to go poop poop. So we switched cameras, and I'm going to start over again. So if you see me start talking about a book, I'm going to continue it now. Armor Wars issue number 1. Opens up with Peter Urich running away from the Kingpin's henchmen because he has this big secret he found out about the Kingpin. And we learn later on in this book that Kingpin is actually working with Arno Stark. And the whole point of Armor Wars is Tony Stark is the Baron of Techtropolis, or however you want to say the name of it is. And we find out that Cody Rhodes is one of the Thors. But anyway, Peter Urich has this secret, this big secret that he found out about the Kingpin, and he has to get to the Avengers. However, something happens to him in the beginning of the book. We then go into a scene with Tony Stark remembering or having these vivid dreams about a past where him and Arno were friendly with each other, and they were kids, and they were outside of their exosuits. I want to show you guys some artwork, by the way. And Marvel, do something with your covers. For the love of Christ, please do something with your covers, because they bleed like crazy, the covers. But anyway, he has a moment where he's remembering a time where him and Arno were friendly, and they weren't in their tech suits, and then he goes to an appointment. We get the Cody Rhodes part where he's working with the Thors, and then he gets put on an assignment in Techtropolis, however you want to. I want to see how you actually say this. Technopolis. Okay, whatever. And we find out that Tony is actually going to Kiri, who is Peter Urich's girlfriend, and Kiri has these models, or this technology she's working on that Arno is very interested in, and Arno is not the nice type. So he wants to protect Kiri. He wants to bring her into Stark Industries and give her protection and everything. And she decides, she's like, no, I can take care of myself. And we get to see Arno for like one panel on one page. And she's like, I can take care of myself. But then after Tony leaves, what's his name? Cody Rhodes reaches out to her, or Thor, the Cody Thor, I'll call him, or Rhodes Thor, reaches out to her, and it turns out, spoiler alert here, Peter Urich, I don't think is going to be in this book anymore, because I think he's very dead. So, my question is, what secret did he know, or did he have on the Kingpin and/or Arno Stark that actually ended up getting him killed? And who did it? Because it wasn't the lackeys that were chasing after him at the very beginning of the issue. So, who is the person that killed him, and why?
That is the question.
Years of Future Past issue number 1. Now, this is interesting. It takes place in a time where, obviously, mutants are segregated away from humans. They're in a concentrated area of New York, a kind of like prison section in New York. And Kitty and Peter have a daughter. Logan has a son. But other than Wolverine and his son, all the other mutants have these collars on that prevent them from using their mutant powers. And mutant kind is all but extinct. The artwork in this book is really good. So Chrissy Pride actually escapes the prison long enough to get into the Bronx Zoo where there's medicine. She meets up with Wolverine. Really great dialogue there. However, a Sentinel shows up, like I showed you guys in the picture, and is about to detain her, and that's when Kitty shows up and says, you know, she's on official business from Doom, yada yada. But the good news is that the Mutant Act there is about to be put through, where a tolerance of mutants might happen. However, President Kerry, because he's the president of this sector of Battle World, doesn't like that, so he has his people set up a what do you call it, recording or a way to show people or to put fear back into the people so they won't put it through and the mutants will stay in their prison. However, the mutants actually are able, the X-Men are able to create something that destroys the collars and they break out of the prison. And Chrissy Pride finally gains her mutant abilities because she's released from the collar and her mutant abilities finally come through. And she kind of has a mix between her father and mother's powers. However, Blob and Mystique are woken up by Carrie's people, and they're led to believe that the X-Men were with Carrie. So a huge fight breaks out. We get to see Wolverine and his son. And of course, Carrie's people are recording this to show why mutants are bad and need to be, or continue to be, locked up. And then we get a little briefy, or a little, what's the word I'm looking for? A teaser for the new Sentinel. The Sentinel that beat out the other Sentinel. And it looks like it's going to be a Doom Sentinel. And it's coming for the X-Men at the end of this issue. And it's to be continued right there and then. It's going to be interesting to see the X-Men fight this new Sentinel and if they're able to stop it. But if it's created by Dr. Doom, I highly doubt, that they're going to be able to stop it unless Chrissy Pride does something.
X-Tinction Agenda issue number 1.
This has Havoc in it.
And also Raffen from the X Factor team, who was the werewolf, actually. So, yeah, Raffen Bane, I think. What's her name? Oh, Sinclair, I'm sorry. Wolfsbane is what her name is. And basically, here's a team, 3 of them. And they're fighting off against this press... No, not press gang, wow. One of the gang members, I think. I can't remember what their names were. Yeah, Richter and Bulletproof. Along with Wicked, Ghost...
He's a ghost
summoner, and Karma, who is a psychic possession, and who could summon the demonic forces and everything. So we have Xavier, who just says, you know, you gotta calm yourselves and everything, and just basically we gotta stop this extinction plague and this everything of these diseases that are going on must stop here. So he says Xavier's for president, you know, for that reason. And no one in Genosha knows that Charles Xavier is actually dead, so this is like a different version. A Genosha. That Charles Xavier is actually dead, because it could be like maybe a different version of him, and of some sort. And then we go into Dr. Doom's point of view of, you know, making his wise decision about mutants might be, you know, distinct within months because of a decision that he made. Like, it was just like long dialogue, and also where Sinclair talks with Jean Grey, you know, the Phoenix Force host, Rachel Grey.
The original, Phoenix.
Yeah. And
oh, Rachel Grey, okay.
Yeah, that's what I meant to say. And there's some artwork I want to show. And it's just them going, you know, they just said, you know, we got to go to Utopia for some business there. If you want to find out what it is, definitely read the book. And that's just really the main focus of the book, just them going to Utopia. And they actually pick a fight with Wolverine at the school and everything. And yeah, things just don't look up to plan as it should have been. But it's, you know, I felt more of a X Factor feel when I saw Havoc and Sinclair come in. And I was looking like saying who wrote this. I thought Peter David wrote because of the whole drawing and everything, but yeah.
I had a feeling this was going to happen. Amazing Spider-Man, issue number 1, Renew Your Vows. Spider-Man is married to Mary Jane again, and they have a daughter.
Yes.
And he's still Spider-Man. Now, it turns out that superheroes and villains, and heroes who aren't superheroes, well, superheroes and villains are disappearing, and heroes without powers are being killed. And this is what Spider-Man finds out, and he goes to the Avengers for answers. Now, the Avengers right now don't know Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but offer him protection if he reveals his identity. You know, they said his family can move in, you know, to the Avenger mansion, and they'll completely be protected. Then he finds out that all the prisoners in Rikers Island were released, and he runs home because one of the prisoners happened to be Venom. And Venom targets not only Mary Jane, but his daughter Annie. And Spider-Man cuts loose like he's never cut loose before. However, the Avengers are called to duty also to fight this guy, Augustus Roman, or as he now calls himself, Regent, who's just killed the entire X-Men team and absorbed all their powers. So the Avengers are fighting him. Spider-Man's too busy fighting Venom, and Spider-Man makes a decision in this book that's very un-Spider-Man-like, but when it comes to family, obviously in this version, this Spider-Man decides that his family's more important than anything else. The Avengers that night died. Venom was killed because Pete didn't want, you know, his family to be continually hunted by Venom, and I think it's about a year later, or several years later probably, because in this version she's a baby, in this one she's a little girl, but several years later, the person who killed the Avengers is now basically the head, or the ruler of that sector of Battleworld, and Peter Parker decides that responsibility outweighs great power at this point, and he quits being Spider-Man. So all the heroes are now dead, the Avengers are dead, and Spider-Man's presumed dead, but basically Peter Parker decides his family and protecting his daughter are more important than having to be Spider-Man, because it's too dangerous to be Spider-Man. The next issue brings Venom back, so Eddie Brock's dead, so it's going to be interesting to see where issue 2 goes.
Alright, Battleworld Master of Kung Fu, issue number 2 of Secret Wars. And in this story, it picks up really successfully, actually, with what happens in this story. Like, we get a little bit more of the Iron Fist, which has been mentioned quite a few times, I've noticed, in this series. And they're just looking for Shang-Chi, who was actually fighting with him, saying where he is, and then he's like saying that he has no idea, no clue where he is. So here he is with the people who he joined with in last issue, teaching, you know, just showing them his kung fu and everything. And they admit that they didn't have any masters to teach them. And he's like saying, but you promised to train us. And he's like saying, no, I will provide you with just a few tips, and that's training is a whole other different story. So he's just saying, yeah, I'm confused with just being a master. I just have nothing to offer you. He's just drunk, and he just wants to just go to sleep and just, that's it. And then we get a little bit of the Emperor of Zhang Su, who is also looking for Shang-Chi as well, or actually cut off the guy's hands for his failure to bring Shang-Chi to him. And he's just saying, and then one of them actually says, I know where this Shang-Chi is, and in exchange, I want acceptance into the Ten Rings, because that's who's looking for Shang-Chi. And he sees that Iron Fist comes in, and he knows him better that he wouldn't kill anybody, but of course somebody comes in and does all the killing, and Iron Fist wasn't too happy about that, because they want to bring him to justice. And that's where Shang-Chi comes out, and let's just say that someone dies. And he said, you know, I've awoken from all this, and I must face Zhongxi of the 13 Chambers, but take me as your master, and I swear we will save all of Kunlun from this disaster of what's been going on. This was a strong, strong issue in a way that picked up very, very nicely. That makes me want to come back for the next issue. So that one's like really good.
Alright, now Secret Wars issue 3, you read it, I skimmed through this one.
I'll try my best, because this is like heavy story here. Secret Wars issue number 3 of 8. There's like a whole different, there's just so many different directions this book goes into with all these stories. I really wish they didn't jump from point A, B, C, and then go into something else. And it just talks first about Dr. Doom, who talks about, you know, like what's been going on with the world and everything, and you know, these people don't see me as the all-powerful God, you know, because of like he hasn't really done as much to make that title.
What I liked was when you get to it, you keep going for now.
Yeah, and then we go to the kingdom of Utopolis, if I said it right.
I hate Doctor Strange, I will say that.
Yeah, Doctor Strange in this issue's been, he's like very out of character in this, sort of. And, you know, he's just making all these things. And then when he sees Miles Spider-Man, he's like saying, you know, like, you've been aboard this the entire time, like, who are the others that were on the ship with you? And we find out who they were, and we find out also later in the issue. And then we get Dr. Doom and Susan who have a heart-to-heart conversation about, you know, how his appearances, and Susan says appearances and everything, because whatever you look like doesn't matter to me, because I'm the man I fell in love with, basically. And then we go back.
Wait, she fell in love with Doom, or she's talking about...
She fell in love with Doom for who he is, like, not with how he looks, because he done so much for him. Remember, this is a different world we're talking about, where she's not in love with Reed Richards, just with Dr. Doom. Just remember that. So
I love how Doctor Strange opens up this cryogenic...
yeah, this door right here.
And it turns out that Spider-Man's in it, Star-Lord, Thor,
and
Captain Marvel, Black... oh God.
Black Canary?
No.
Was it? The Black...
Cat... No, oh shoot. Black Panther,
yeah.
and Reed Richards.
Yeah, of that universe. And then Doctor Strange just telling them, you know, in case you haven't noticed, Doom is our leader, and Victor saved us all, which is why there's that. And
he believes that Doom plays a really great God. And then when Reed says, "How long have you had how long have you had us here?" Because they've been asleep for 8 years. They've been in suspended animation for 8 years. And Reed's like, "How many years did you exactly have us?" And he's like, "We had you 3. I wasn't sure what to do." And Reed's like, "It took you 3 years. Doom is the god of this world, and it took you 3 years to open this up." And then it goes to Thanos.
Yeah, and this is where you might want to change your opinion about Thanos versus Doom, because Thanos has a plan B of this.
Is he working with the Thors?
From what he says, he has a plan of, like, you know, how he is going to find out the answers to all this. And when he's looking up at the Thors coming down, I think you might want to have to change your opinion about this whole Doom being better than Thanos, because this could actually be heading into a different direction that Thanos may not fail at. Just saying.
Well,
So
we'll see. We have a couple months to go. I mean, this is issue 6 is coming out in August, so we have, I think, one more issue this month, and then we're single issuing it all the way through till, I think, October, November.
Yep.
So we have a long way to go.
We'll see.
Secret Wars actually looks to be a really interesting miniseries. A lot's going on in Secret Wars, though. I can agree that it's hard to keep up with stuff that's going on in Secret Wars without covering some of the other stuff or reading some of the other stuff that's going on. But great books from Marvel this week. No drops yet so far, but issue 2s are going to be a lot of drops or keeps for us, or maybe even issue 3s. Some of them might have to wait till issue 3. We'll see. But anyway, that's it for this review, guys. As always, don't forget to check out comic-related, Comic Frontline, Zone 4 Podcast, and Frontline Gaming Zone. Together, we are your #1 source for comic-related news, reviews, and a whole bunch more. This should be, God willing, the last late review, seeing as we have nothing this coming weekend, and the piles are back to a semi-norm until we get through more of the Secret War books and figure out what we're keeping and what we're not. But till then, everybody, take care, keep reading, keep collecting. We'll see you guys really soon in the next video. Don't forget Dark Avenger Live, episode 50 is this Friday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to have a blast. It's going to be a great live show. So till then, take care, everybody.
Later, everyone.